The energy around the stadium could be felt from miles away. Hours before kickoff, thousands of passionate supporters had already taken their places, filling every corner with songs, cheers, and colorful flags. For the visiting rugby team, this was far more than another fixture on the international calendar. They had traveled across continents to challenge one of rugby's most respected nations in one of the most intimidating stadiums in the sport. Every player understood the size of the challenge, yet nobody inside the squad had come simply to admire the occasion. They had come believing they could compete with the very best. Leading the preparations was head coach Eddie Jones, who knew that physical strength alone would never be enough to survive an atmosphere like this. Together with assistant coaches Steve Borthwick, John Mitchell, and Neil Hatley, he created training sessions that focused just as much on mental resilience as rugby skills. Loudspeakers blasted recordings of roaring crowds, whistles echoed around the practice field, and every drill was designed to simulate the pressure of playing in front of a hostile audience. At first, experienced players like Mike Brown, Owen Farrell, Maro Itoje, and Billy Vunipola smiled at the unusual methods, but they soon realized there was a clear purpose behind every exercise. The coaching staff wanted every decision to become automatic, even when emotions were running high. On match day, the team bus slowly made its way through streets packed with excited supporters. Families gathered around barbecues, children waved giant flags, and local fans proudly sang traditional songs as the visitors passed by. Some supporters offered respectful applause, while others tried to remind the visitors that they were entering one of rugby's toughest environments. Sitting quietly near the front of the bus, Mike Brown looked out of the window, taking in every detail. Across the aisle, Owen Farrell exchanged determined glances with teammates, while Maro Itoje remained focused, saying very little as everyone mentally prepared for the challenge ahead. During the warm-up, the players immediately noticed something different. The high-altitude conditions made every sprint feel slightly more demanding than expected. Coaches reminded the squad to control their breathing, avoid wasting energy, and trust the game plan they had practiced for weeks. Although the conditions presented an extra obstacle, confidence remained high because the visitors believed their preparation had covered every possible scenario. The opening whistle signaled the beginning of a fascinating contest. Right from the first possession, the visitors displayed remarkable discipline. Ben Youngs directed play with calm authority, while George Ford controlled territory through intelligent kicking. Powerful carries from Billy Vunipola created valuable momentum, and relentless tackling from Maro Itoje disrupted the rhythm of the home side. Their aggressive defense forced early mistakes, allowing the visitors to build pressure before eventually crossing the try line. The stadium suddenly became quieter as the unexpected lead appeared on the scoreboard. Instead of slowing down, the visitors continued attacking with confidence. Johnny May used his speed to stretch the defense, while Elliot Daly found space with clever running lines. Every successful phase increased belief inside the team. Another well-executed attack resulted in more points, and before long the visitors had built an impressive advantage that very few people inside the stadium had predicted before kickoff. Despite the early setback, the home team remained calm. Guided by head coach Rassi Erasmus and captain Sia Khaleesi, they trusted their experience and refused to abandon their strategy. Their powerful forward pack gradually increased the physical intensity, forcing the visitors to spend long periods defending. Every collision demanded greater effort, and the effects of playing at altitude slowly became more noticeable. Players who had looked energetic during the opening stages now needed extra moments to recover between phases. As the first half continued, the home side finally found their breakthrough. Patient build-up play created enough space for an important score, instantly reigniting the crowd. The volume inside the stadium rose dramatically. Every successful tackle by the home side was celebrated as if it were a try, while every mistake by the visitors fueled even louder encouragement from thousands of supporters. Momentum had clearly begun to change. Inside the dressing room at halftime, Eddie Jones gathered his players together. Rather than focusing on the growing pressure, he praised the courage they had already shown and reminded them that discipline would determine the outcome. Senior leaders including Owen Farrell, Mike Brown, and Maro Itoje encouraged their teammates to stay patient, communicate constantly, and trust one another. Nobody expected the second half to become easier, but everyone believed they still had a chance to achieve something memorable. The intensity increased immediately after the restart. The home side attacked with greater speed and physicality, forcing the visitors into repeated defensive sets. Outstanding tackles from Courtney Laws and tireless work by Jamie George helped keep the visitors in the contest, but every passing minute demanded more energy. Even experienced players admitted later that the altitude made recovery far more difficult than expected. Although fatigue became impossible to ignore, the visitors refused to surrender. Ben Youngs continued organizing attacks despite obvious exhaustion, while George Ford calmly managed field position whenever opportunities appeared. Every player understood that the smallest mistake could decide the match, making concentration just as important as physical fitness. With the clock winding down, the stadium reached an incredible level of excitement. The home team launched wave after wave of attacks, driven forward by the passionate support of their fans. The visitors responded with fearless defense, producing tackle after tackle to protect their narrow advantage. Every successful stop was celebrated by teammates as though they had scored themselves. Eventually, persistence paid off for the home side. A perfectly timed passing movement created just enough space for a decisive score, bringing the crowd to its feet in celebration. Although the visitors continued fighting until the referee blew the final whistle, they were unable to regain the lead. The scoreboard favored the home team, but the visitors had earned enormous respect through their determination, teamwork, and courage. As players from both teams shook hands after the match, there was a clear understanding that everyone had witnessed something special. Coaches Eddie Jones and Rassie Erasmus congratulated one another, recognizing the quality displayed by both squads. Veterans like Mike Brown, Owen Farrell, Maro Itoje, and Captain Sia Khaleesi left the field knowing that the contest had offered valuable lessons about resilience, preparation, and belief. While only one team celebrated victory that evening, both teams demonstrated why international rugby remains one of the world's most demanding and respected sports. The experience reminded every player that success is measured not only by the final score but also by the courage to compete with determination until the very last whistle.